Today we're going to discuss how Derek Johnson claims President Trump is a wartime president. I'm going to try to follow Derek's logic, and I'm using that term loosely because Derek actually doesn't ever use logic in his thinking. So let's first listen to this press briefing by President Trump from March 23rd, 2020.
Happy with the job we're doing. And I'm glad that this team and me are here for this horrible thing. I mean, it's a number of people have said it, and I feel it actually. I'm a wartime president. This is a war. This is a war, different kind of a war than we've ever had. I want to say that I know that this is a challenging time for all Americans. We're enduring a great national trial, and we will prove that we can meet the moment. I want to assure the American people that we're doing everything we can each day to confront and ultimately defeat this horrible, invisible enemy. We're at war. In a true sense, we're at war, and we're fighting an invisible enemy. Think of that.
So that was President Trump from March 2020, and he was explaining why he considers himself a wartime president. And it's because of the visible enemy, meaning the coronavirus. So you can't see it, it's invisible. That's what he meant. So now we're going to fast forward to October 2022. I'm going to show you two clips of Derek on two different podcasts where he explains to you why Trump considered himself a wartime president and how COVID came about. Who started it is what he's trying to say. So let's watch these two clips.
So what Biden and all the evil cronies of Congress, and it's not just Democrats, this is Republicans too, what they have to do is either address the national emergency that Donald Trump issued. They either have to address it and tell all the people that COVID was planned, it was rigged, it was a nuclear option of 2019, or they can come out and tell that the election was fraudulent and it was rigged. They got either or.
The whole 2019 year was very telling. I kept telling my family, I said, we prepare for biochemical warfare in the military, and nobody wanted to listen to me because of being a veteran. And this is so complex that people think that one little veteran can't know something on that kind of grandiose level. But the whole 2019 year, Pelosi and Schumer and Schiff, all these characters kept using this terminology called, well, if we can't do this, we have a nuclear option for Trump. We have a nuclear option. They kept saying that, those two terms, those two words together, a nuclear option. Well, what was a nuclear option? Well, they couldn't beat him on the House floor. They couldn't beat him in the Senate floor. So they had to do something never done before in history, a biochemical weapon on our own people, which is why President Trump also said May the 6th, 2020 in a speech that we have experienced an attack on America greater than Pearl Harbor, but it wasn't visual, so people couldn't see it. People couldn't.
So, according to Derek, Trump declared himself a wartime president because the deep state had this quote-unquote nuclear option, meaning COVID. So he is saying that the deep state was behind COVID. Now, if that were all true, then that kind of makes sense. But Derek couldn't leave it there. Nope. Let's fast forward to May 1st, and Derek changes his story. Let's listen to this clip.
Said yesterday, will I use force, military force against the cartels? Absolutely. They're projecting things. A lot of this has already happened, but a lot of things he's saying it because why? We're going based off those continuity directives. It's showing that we're going into we will go into some form of martial law, which will mean people are going to sit at home again. And that's why COVID, when you go read these federal continuity directives, it's all outlined. The national security strategy was put out December 2017, his national security. It's perfectly aligned with that February 2018 FCD. All right. Now, all of them talk about this, but that one alone, and there's one other one, It talks about the pandemic word for word as what you witnessed before it happened. It talked about when people don't report to work. It talks about catastrophic events. It talks about people dying way back here in 2017 and 2018. So this was something that people have to get in the mindset of a military. Sometimes you have to save $6 billion and you might lose 100,000. But in order to flip this giant corruption we've had on the world, this giant cabal, this deep state, the swamp, the rhinos and dinos, all of the evil politicians, not just in the U.S., but the world has to operate in a military mindset, meaning that you may have to sacrifice here. It's unfortunate, but that's what people have to understand. But when you read those federal continuity directives, when you actually read them and apply what you've seen from 2016 to present day, it'll show you that the pandemic was a good guy thing to get people to sit at home, for this reason, for the bigger event. That was a test run to see how many people would actually, and I'd have to say, boop, if I have to be a little military dark humor, boop, remember to pimp my ride. All they did was take flu numbers, put a new word with it, and say, wear this mask that, the greatest pandemic in the world, and this little diaper is going to protect you from it. What did people do? They got on the train.
So now in May, Derek is trying to tell us that COVID was by the good guys, meaning Trump and the military. Hold up. You cannot create biological warfare on your own country as the president and then claim to be a wartime president. No, you can't do that. So it doesn't make any sense for Trump to call himself a wartime president if he's responsible for COVID. I hope you all see, Derek is not very truthful. He really needs to make a spreadsheet and keep track of all his lies so he doesn't make mistakes like this. Because back in October, he was convincing everybody it was the deep state, and now he's crediting Trump for it. So, I don't know. Maybe Derek is a deep state plant trying to prank all of you? I don't know what his end game is, but he's not telling the truth. Trump is not a wartime president. Trump is not commander-in-chief.